Hello and welcome. In her 19-year-old career, Ekta Bharadwaj has traversed through multiple industries, from the hospitality sector to biotechnology to telecommunications infrastructure to now, for the last 6 years, she has been heading the very critical human resources function at Nissan Motor India. In the past, she was associated with Bharti Infratel, Panacea Biotech, and Intercontinental Hotels Group. Driven and ambitious, an avid speaker, a fitness enthusiast, and an animal lover, she constantly looks for opportunities to make a positive impact. A graduate in economics from Delhi University and MBA in HR from the APJ School of Management, she is also a certified coach for International Coaching Federation. Ekta, welcome to Women in Mobility, our initiative to engage with women leaders across the mobility space to understand their perspectives on leadership and take inspiration from their corporate journey.
Sure. Thank you so much, Devanshu. Thank you so much for this introduction. I'm glad to be here.
Excellent, Ekta. Let's start with your corporate journey. Now, you've worked with, of course, different industries in your 19-year-old career. What has been your approach to the professional life, to approach to leadership? Has it been rigid, flexible, or is it a hybrid model that you undertake for as a leader?
Yeah, as you rightly said, this is a leadership journey, not a destination. So every day is a new learning. Every day I try to learn something new. I try to change myself for better. And then there is just not one style that prevails all the time, or that is something that I use all the time. It keeps changing because that is what is required for an effective leadership. But if I have to answer you, whether it is rigid or flexible or hybrid, so I would like to say that definitely it is not rigid, but at the same time, it's not that flexible either. Because I'm very clear as to what I want to do and why I want to do that. What is that I want to achieve? And that is with respect to definitely in organization's interest and in people's interest. So that is very clear, and I'm very clear on that. Now, in order to reach there, because it's never in the corporate, and especially in the HR function, if you're trying to take an initiative, introduce something new, whether it is a policy or it is an initiative, you just cannot drive it all alone. You need everyone, in the bus. So then that approach towards reaching where I want to reach is pretty much flexible. Because when I have to take all the stakeholders on board, I have to show them what is there in it for them and why and how it is for the organization's good. So when it comes to setting up a goal, I'm pretty much firm on that. But when it comes to achieving that goal, the route, I'm very much flexible. So I go by whatever is preferred by the larger group, because then they are into it. And then it is given that, I'm going to achieve it successfully, what I'm set out for. So you can say a little bit of hybrid. Yes. Mm-hmm. If that answers your question.
No, that's a fantastic answer, Ekta. I mean, help us understand this, your journey from the hospitality sector, you moved to biotechnology. From there, you moved to telecommunications and then to the automotive. I mean, if you ask me, it's a fascinating journey across 4 different industries. Tell us more about it.
Yes, so it is indeed. It has been a fascinating journey. Amazing, interesting, challenging, full of learning, and the one that involved a lot of hard work also. So I would say that, my career journey, my leadership journey has been full of changes and full of learning. And I think I'm very happy the way it has shaped up and the way it has shaped me up. And it has brought me where I am today. So see, the initial years of anyone's career is very, very important for his or her to lay that strong foundation. So I think I was fortunate enough to be at the right place in the initial years of my career. So which means the first 5-6 years of my career, I happened to be at the right place, which means that with the right bosses, with the right teams, with the right peers. So that was the time when, I was empowered. People around me trusted in me. They gave me a free hand. They were very, very encouraging. So I could really take various initiatives, drive things, implement things. I was allowed to fail also. There was a tolerance for that as well, and there was the right amount of recognition. So that was the time. I would say the first 5 6 months of years, sorry, were very, very solid in my career, and that is where I actually started to learn about the leadership. So I got to work with the right leader. And that is from where I started to learn about leadership. That was the time when the seeds for the leadership skills traits were in a way, sown. Um, and then after that, I never looked back. I started with hospitality, a wonderful sector to work with. And I think that is the place where I really learned that, okay, what is the importance of human resources in an organization, because it is people driven, people intensive industry. The success of the industry depends on people. And although in all the organizations, the end result, the business depends on people to a large extent as to how well do you take care of your people internally. But again, hospitality is something where it is a little bit more, a notch more. So I think I started with the right kind of sector. I had my own shares of highs and lows in my leadership journey. I got to work with very good people and at the same time not so good people as well. But I would say that both, everything brought its own learning, for me.
Sure.
And I learned from each good experience, encouraging experience, and each bad experience. So it really made me today what I am. At the same time, I feel that in these 18 19 years, I got to work in all kinds of business situations. Like I got to work when the organizations were doing really, really very good. People were on their high, business is a success. At the same time, I also got to see that phase of businesses when the business was not doing too great. And, it was really, really difficult at that point of time to keep people engaged and motivated, keep them in high morale all the time. But I would say that requires a very, very different level of leadership. And the way you engage with people, the way you show your leadership skills in both the situations, they are very, very different. So that's how, so that gave me an opportunity to bring that overall development, or a 360 development to my leadership thought process and skills and abilities. How do we manage people and business in the good times, and how do we manage people and business in tough times? So that is also very important. And this is my message to everyone, that we should always try and come out of a comfort zone, be in the crisis mode. And if you don't call for it, crisis will call you, the way COVID. So for example, like COVID. So it just caught everyone all of a sudden. True. Right? And everybody had to deal with it. There was no precedent. Everybody was looking at HR leadership, especially, to manage the whole situation, people, business continuity, engagement, communication. I mean, there were so many issues to deal with. And everybody was looking at HR and the top leadership. Okay, how we're going to change our workplace, our ways of working, policies, processes, how we're going to facilitate people, ensure health and safety, at the same time ensure that business continuity does not get impacted. Yes, so there is a lot of learning that has come in the last 2 years with the arrival of this pandemic as well.
Sure, that was in fact something that I wanted to ask you as well. You have answered it well. I'll go to something more anecdotal here in the sense, tell us, in this whole journey, you talked about that you're fortunate that you actually had people, had managers, leaders who gave you that empowerment, who empowered you in your journey, right? So in this journey, Ekta, share with us some anecdotes that have really helped you grow as a leader, and something that actually tells you now, and when you train new leaders for the future, you keep those stories in mind.
Yes. Yes, I very distinctly, recall one of such incident. Um, Again, that happened early in my career. So I was always very enthusiastic and passionate about my work, what I do, always ready to do more variety of things, challenging assignments. And fortunately, I got a boss who was ready to give me all of that. And so I remember I was doing my role, and then my immediate manager, she had to go on maternity leave. And so I had to step up for her. There was no replacement. So I was doing my role, I was doing my immediate manager's role. And that was the time when organization was going through a lot of changes, and the HR function was being transformed. So at that point of time, it was more like a personnel function than the HR function. And it was in that phase when, the personnel function was being transformed into, an HR function. So there was a lot of expectation from the HR team. I was double hatting. So that continued for, I think, more than 6 months, 6 or 9 months. And lots of challenges were given to me. I was fairly able to, execute on all those assignments pretty well. So when my immediate manager came back, so, the head of the department, he asked that, okay, now that your immediate manager has come back and she's going to do her share of work, you had been handling two portfolios. What do you plan to do now? I was very young, 5, 6 years old in the career. I said, yeah, boss, it's been a long time, 6, 9 months. So now I'll go back to what I used to do. He was like, really? You have not come so far to go back to what you were doing. Do you know you're just not the same person? So he realized my potential. In a way, he opened my eyes. It was a very, very childish response from my side that, okay, I'll go back to what I was, 9 months back or 6 months back. And he made me realize that, hey, you've come so far. You've grown so much. You've learned so much. You've delivered so much. And there's no looking back. And that's not the right approach or the attitude. So it's like, you need to do even more. So I'm asking, what will you do more? And I was like, oh, really? So that was really, an eye opener for me. And I really have high regards for him to have really identified my potential. And he was so good. And he carved out a very different profile for me. Because my one was my existing role, one was my manager's role, and my manager's role, when was given back to her, he came up with a lot more challenging assignments. And I still remember, he called the role talent development manager. I was the training manager, so he called it talent development manager. Today, talent development management, they are normal, words and the terms that we hear in the HR word, not in those times. So, and a new profile with it all together. So I think that incident has still a great impact on me, and that always keep me reminding that look for future, look what more can you do, look for your potential. And that is how I try today to spot that potential and leverage on that potential of all the young people that I work with. And I always challenge them, to do something more and never let them look back and go back to their initial position. So that is something that I learned from my manager, and that is something that I implement when I, as a leader, manage teams and younger workforce.
Excellent. Ekta. That's indeed a story that can be sort of spoken about to people all across, right? Now, as a leader in this whole journey, there must have been various cases where you have had to take difficult decisions. Mm-hmm. Right? You think about people, you have to think about the organization, but at the end, do something that is right.
Yes.
Do you remember one such incident that you can share with us?
So when it comes to people, yes, I think there are many a times we have to take hard calls with respect to people in organizations. So I would say the simplest form of it will be giving a difficult feedback or not so good information to somebody. If somebody is going to lose his job, or if somebody is to be put on a performance improvement plan, or somebody's role is going to get redundant, or somebody's expecting a career growth and which is not happening for him. So this is something which are always difficult calls, because all of this has a great impact on individuals' motivation levels, engagement levels. So I would say that it doesn't come easy, and not everyone can do it. But again, the way you do it is something that makes a lot of impact. I mean, so my personal approach towards it is, as I was telling you just some time back, I know what I need to achieve, but the way I go about it, that makes a lot of difference. So there have been times when I have given such difficult feedbacks or information to people at all levels, including the senior leadership. So yeah, there is a lot of it in terms of organization. Yes, when it comes to especially in this COVID situation, when it comes to taking a lot of difficult calls, we're trying all kind of optimization in the organization. So the resources, the leisure that all of us had in terms of resources in pre-COVID times, that does not exist anymore now. Organization is going through a continuous change, which is impacting people at all levels. So we all have to now learn to work with a little bit of resource crunch, and we all have to see that how do we optimize our resources. Now, this is a difficult situation, and now to communicate it to our people and take them on board and tell them, hey, we cannot really afford to work at least now for some more time the way we used to work, and this is where and how we need to optimize things until we come back again in a state of normalcy, is something which is difficult. Sometimes it is accepted well, sometimes it is not really accepted that well either. But then I think that is the role of the leadership. We lead by example, we set our own example, we give up on lots of things, we change our ways of working. And that is how we motivate others and encourage others to join this collective cause of the organization, work as one team, and take even the hard decisions or the calls of the organization in the right spirit and contribute to it, rather than really getting agitated about it.
You're a fitness enthusiast, you love animals, you find time to do all of that. How do you create that balance in your life?
So Dipanshu, I personally feel that it is difficult to find that balance. And I also do believe that we should not be always running after finding that balance, because unfortunately that is going to really disappoint us. So I would say, rather than finding that work-life balance, we have to find out what our priorities are, and we should be very clear about it, because there will be days when you will be giving more hours and more time to your work than your personal life, and there will be days when you'll be focusing more, or you're required to focus more on your personal life than work. So that imbalance will always be there. It cannot happen that every day is a very set standard day. You start office by a certain time, you leave office by a certain time, and you do your household chores for a certain time, give time to your personal activities. Yeah, it cannot work like a clockwise thing. So it will always be, each day will be different. So one should be able to find out what is a priority for that day. So this is at least what I try. This is what works for me.
I'll come to my final question, Ekta. A lot of young women in the automotive industry, in the mobility sector, look up to women leaders, right? What is going to be your message? What would you tell them today?
Yeah, I would say that there is no better time than now to really pursue your leadership journey, because I remember a couple of years back, and I would say, until a couple of years back, there was not much happening on the diversity front or women leadership or D&I. And today it is such a core of the fabric of an organization. I mean, there are organizations which are coming with a D&I department, diversity and inclusion department, and having a separate team to be dealing with such issues or to be promoting D&I in the organization. So I think there is a lot that is happening. There is a lot that still needs to happen, but I would say the journey has started. Women leaders are being recognized for their work. The biases are gradually going away. At least the process, the journey has started. I won't say that we are there. It will take a long time, very long time, to be there and to have that world of equality, whether it is a gender equality or it is any other kind of equality. To break those stereotypes, to break those biases, we need that constant learning and education to go to people, to the organizations. But the good news is that all organizations are making efforts towards it, conscious efforts towards it. They're trying to build an inclusive culture. They're trying to increase their women leadership, women leaders ratio in their overall leadership team. So my message to the young women would be that, number one, there will be a lot of encouragement, there will be a lot of support system now in the corporates. So they should aim for it. So first and foremost, this is what I tell everyone, including the women leaders here in my organization. First of all, you should be very clear what you want. And it will not be served to you on the plate. You will have to earn it. And you will not get it just because there is a special focus on gender diversity in your organization, or it will not come to you just because you are a woman and you need to have some privileges. We say equal world. We don't say that women have to get more than men. We say they have to get equal to what men get in terms of opportunities in the organization. So first of all, you must have that desire, that ambition, that clarity. What do you want to do? That aspiration, and you should be ready to work for it. Work hard. There is no substitute for working hard or hard work in your career. At least I vouch by that. Wherever I am, I was lucky. I would say I was lucky to get the right kind of opportunities, but at the same time, I had to work hard to get there. So there's no better time than now. There will be lots of support system, lots of encouragement, but you should also be ready to earn that.
Excellent. On that note, Ekta, thank you so much for speaking to Mobility Outlook, and thank you so much for being part of Women in Mobility.
Thank you so much. I just enjoyed. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Thanks so much for having me here.